The story begins in the heart of Africa, on the majestic Pride Rock, where the sun rises over the vast savanna and all the animals gather to witness a momentous occasion. The great lion King Mufasa and his queen Sarabi have just welcomed a new cub into the world, a son named Simba. The wise old mandrill Rafiki climbs to the top of Pride Rock, holding the newborn cub in his arms, and presents him to the assembled animals. The animals bow in reverence, acknowledging the future king. The circle of life continues, as it always has. Mufasa is a wise and powerful king, beloved by all who live under his rule. He is a strong and just leader, a devoted husband, and a loving father. He teaches Simba about the great circle of life, explaining that all living things are connected in a delicate balance. He tells Simba that everything the light touches is their kingdom, and that one day, Simba will be king. Simba is excited and eager to learn, but he is also curious and mischievous, always getting into trouble. But there is darkness in the kingdom. Mufasa's younger brother, Scar, is jealous and bitter. He covets the throne and despises Simba, the cub who has replaced him as heir. Scar is cunning and manipulative, and he harbors a deep hatred for his brother. He feels that he has been cheated out of his birthright, and he will stop at nothing to claim the throne for himself. Scar is also allied with the hyenas, a clan of cruel and vicious scavengers who are banished from the Pride Lands. He promises them a place in the kingdom in exchange for their help in overthrowing Mufasa. The hyenas are desperate and hungry, and they are willing to do anything to improve their lot. They agree to help Scar, and the conspiracy begins to take shape. Simba, meanwhile, is growing up fast. He is a happy and carefree cub, full of energy and curiosity. He loves to play with his best friend, Nala, the daughter of Sarabi's trusted friend Sarafina. They are inseparable, and they share a bond that will last a lifetime. Simba is also a bit of a troublemaker, constantly pushing the boundaries and testing his father's patience. One day, Simba is playing with Nala when they encounter Zazu, Mufasa's trusted major domo, a hornbill who serves as the king's advisor. Zazu informs them that Mufasa is on his way, and that Simba is in big trouble for missing the ceremony that morning. Simba is not worried, and he playfully teases Zazu. But Zazu warns him that the king is furious. Mufasa arrives and scolds Simba for missing the ceremony. He reminds Simba that he is the future king, and that he must learn to be responsible. Simba tries to explain himself, but Mufasa is stern. However, when Scar arrives, Mufasa's attention shifts to his brother. Scar is dripping with false courtesy, pretending to be apologetic for missing the ceremony. But Mufasa sees through his act. He knows that Scar is jealous and resentful. Scar claims that Simba is the future king and that he should get used to bowing. Mufasa warns Scar not to turn his back on him. But Scar responds with a veiled threat, suggesting that Mufasa should not turn his back on him either. Mufasa roars in anger, but Scar backs down. Zazu tries to calm the situation, noting that there is one in every family. Mufasa sighs, wondering what to do with his brother. Zazu jokes that Scar would make a very handsome throw rug, and Mufasa laughs. It is a rare moment of levity in the midst of the tension. Later, Simba wakes his father for a morning lesson. Mufasa takes Simba to the top of Pride Rock and shows him the kingdom. He tells Simba that everything the light touches is their kingdom, and that one day, Simba will be king. Simba is amazed by the sight, and he asks about the shadowy place in the distance. Mufasa tells him that it is beyond their borders, and that he must never go there. Simba protests, saying that a king should be able to do whatever he wants. But Mufasa explains that being king is about responsibility, not getting your way all the time. Mufasa teaches Simba about the great circle of life. He explains that everything exists together in a delicate balance. As king, Simba must understand that balance and respect all creatures, from the crawling ant to the leaping antelope. Simba asks why they eat the antelope if they respect them. Mufasa explains that when they die, their bodies become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass. In this way, they are all connected in the great circle of life. Zazu arrives with the morning report. He delivers a series of humorous news items, including chimps going ape, giraffes remaining above it all, elephants forgetting things, and crocodiles trying to get loans from the bank. Mufasa and Simba laugh, but Zazu's report is interrupted by news of hyenas in the Pride Lands. Mufasa immediately takes charge, ordering Zazu to take Simba home. Simba is disappointed that he can't go with his father, but he reluctantly agrees to go home. Zazu tries to cheer him up, telling him that one day he will be king and can chase hyenas all day. Simba perks up at the thought, but his mind is already wandering. Simba goes to find his uncle Scar. He excitedly tells Scar that he is going to be king of Pride Rock. Scar is not impressed, and he responds with sarcasm. Simba asks Scar what he will be when Simba becomes king. And Scar says he will be a monkey's uncle. Simba laughs, calling Scar weird. Scar has a different response. You have no idea. Scar then asks Simba if his father showed him the whole kingdom, including what lies beyond the northern border. Simba says no, that his father told him he couldn't go there. Scar pretends to be concerned, saying that it is far too dangerous and only the bravest lions go there. Simba, eager to prove his bravery, asks what is out there. Scar refuses to tell him, claiming he is just looking out for his nephew's well-being. But he then, accidentally, slips and mentions the elephant graveyard. Simba is intrigued. Scar quickly tries to cover up his mistake, but it's too late. He tells Simba to promise never to visit the dreadful place. Simba agrees, but he is already planning his adventure. Simba finds Nala and convinces her to come with him to the elephant graveyard. They sneak past Zazu and make their way to the forbidden place. The elephant graveyard is a desolate and eerie place, filled with the bones of ancient elephants. Simba and Nala are both creeped out, but they are also excited to be exploring. Suddenly, the hyenas appear. They surround Simba and Nala, taunting them and threatening to eat them. Zazu arrives and tries to intervene, but he is quickly captured. Simba tries to fight the hyenas, but he is outnumbered and outmatched. Just when it seems that all is lost, Mufasa arrives. He roars and drives the hyenas away, saving Simba and Nala. Mufasa is furious with Simba for disobeying him. He tells Simba that he is very disappointed in him and that he could have been killed. Simba tries to explain that he was just trying to be brave, but Mufasa tells him that being brave doesn't mean going looking for trouble. Mufasa takes Simba home, and they have a heart-to-heart talk. Simba asks Mufasa if he is ever scared. Mufasa admits that he was scared today, because he thought he might lose Simba. Simba is surprised to hear that even kings get scared. Mufasa tells him that those hyenas were even more scared than he was, because nobody messes with his dad. Simba laughs and hugs his father. Mufasa tells Simba that they are pals and that they will always be together. He tells Simba to look at the stars, where the great kings of the past looked down on them. Whenever Simba feels alone, he can remember that those kings will always be there to guide him, and so will Mufasa. It is a beautiful and touching moment, but it will not last. Scar watches from the shadows, his jealousy and hatred simmering. He meets with the hyenas and reveals his plan to kill Mufasa and Simba. He tells them to wait for his signal during the next hunt. A few days later, Scar takes Simba to the gorge, telling him that his father has a wonderful surprise for him. Simba is excited, but Scar warns him to stay on the rock and work on his roar. Scar then signals to the hyenas, who stampede a herd of wildebeest into the gorge. Simba is trapped in the stampede. He runs for his life, desperately trying to escape the thundering herd. Mufasa hears the commotion and races to save his son. He plunges into the stampede, fighting his way through the wildebeest to reach Simba. He rescues Simba and carries him to a ledge. But Mufasa is swept away by the stampede. Mufasa barely survives, but he is thrown over a cliff. He clings to the edge, calling for help. Scar appears on the cliff above him. Mufasa begs Scar to help him, but Scar has no mercy. He digs his claws into Mufasa's paws and whispers, "Long live the king," before throwing him to his death. Simba sees his father fall and rushes down to the gorge. He finds Mufasa's body and tries to wake him, but it is too late. Simba is devastated. He cries out for help, but no one comes. Scar appears and feigns grief. He tells Simba that the death was an accident, but that it was Simba's fault. He tells Simba to run away and never return. Simba, overwhelmed with guilt and grief, flees into the wilderness. Scar then takes the throne, declaring that Mufasa's death is a terrible tragedy and that he will assume the throne with a heavy heart. He welcomes the hyenas into the Pride Lands, promising a new era of peace and prosperity. But the hyenas are greedy and destructive, and they quickly overrun the kingdom. Simba collapses in the desert, exhausted and despairing. He is found by Timon and Pumbaa, a meerkat and a warthog who live a carefree life of Hakuna Matata, meaning no worries. They take Simba in and teach him their philosophy of living in the moment and forgetting about the past. Simba grows up with them, eating bugs and lazing around, trying to forget his painful memories. Years pass, and Simba becomes a young adult. He is content with his life, but he is haunted by the memory of his father's death. He has suppressed his past, but it is never far from his mind. One day, Simba is exploring the jungle when he encounters Nala. She has left Pride Rock to find help, as the kingdom is starving under Scar's rule. Nala is overjoyed to see Simba alive, but she is also angry that he has been hiding all this time. Nala tells Simba that Pride Rock is in ruin, and that everyone is suffering. She begs Simba to return and take his rightful place as king. Simba is torn. He wants to help his family, but he is still haunted by guilt and shame. He believes that he is responsible for his father's death. Nala and Simba argue. Nala is frustrated by Simba's refusal to accept his responsibility. Simba storms off into the jungle, feeling lost and confused. He is found by Rafiki, the wise old mandrill. Rafiki asks Simba who he is, and Simba says he doesn't know. He thought he knew, but now he's not so sure. Rafiki tells Simba that he knows who he is, and he leads Simba to a pool of water. Simba sees his own reflection, and Rafiki tells him to look harder. The image shifts, and Simba sees his father's face looking back at him. Mufasa's voice echoes from the sky, telling Simba that he has forgotten who he is and that he must remember. Mufasa tells Simba that he is his son and the one true king. Simba asks how he can go back, but Mufasa tells him to remember who he is. Simba is inspired. He realizes that he can't run from his past forever. He has to face his fears and take his place in the circle of life. He decides to return to Pride Rock and challenge Scar. Simba returns to the Pride Lands, accompanied by Nala, Timon, and Pumbaa. The land is desolate, and the hyenas are everywhere. Simba confronts Scar in front of the Pride. Scar is initially defiant, but he is also nervous. He tries to manipulate Simba, But Simba is no longer the naive cub he once was. Scar demands that Simba step down, but Simba refuses. Scar then reveals the truth about Mufasa's death, admitting that he killed him. Simba is enraged, but he is also saddened. He had hoped that Scar would admit his guilt, but he never expected it. The hyenas are horrified by Scar's confession. They realize that they have been betrayed. They turn on Scar, attacking him and tearing him apart. Simba watches as Scar is devoured by the hyenas. A fitting end for a traitor. With Scar dead, Simba takes his rightful place as king. He ascends Pride Rock and roars, signaling a new era of peace and prosperity. The rain falls, washing away the darkness and bringing new life to the Pride Lands. The story ends with Simba and Nala standing on Pride Rock, watching the sunrise. They are surrounded by their family and friends. And the circle of life continues. Simba has fulfilled his destiny, and he is at peace. He has learned that with great power comes great responsibility, and that true strength comes from within.